Dude, they're valued at 3.8 billion. You know what they make per month?
No one does what you do either. So you're comparing yourself to everyone else.
All in 30 days, what do you think they'll do? Holy shit. And they all tell all their friends, and that's how they grew. Everyone has to get the same result.
So, and I know I'm saying this to the camera, and most people aren't gonna do it. That's okay, that's why it's hard to be successful, but my name's Eric. I'm originally from New Jersey.
And then I'm John, I'm from New York. The way we split the businesses, he kind of handles the marketing, I kind of handle the sales.
We teach people how to make money buying and selling sports cards, not cars, cards, C-A-R-D-S, like memorabilia, autographs, but sports cards. I started flipping sports cards in about 2015 to 2020, and then when we partnered up, we tried an agency, didn't work, and then one day he said to me, actually we used to live here in the Flamingo across the water, trying to start a business, and he said, I think people would pay us to learn what you know. And I actually thought it was a dumb idea, but apparently it wasn't. We launched ads and they kind of went viral pretty quick. It was like the start of the pandemic and alternative assets were going crazy.
I think the second that you think you know and you think you are somebody, right? I think that's like when you slowly start to die. Like, and I think that's when you slowly start to like just spark fades away and like.
Someone like Tanner, who's done obviously, 100 times more money than us, like, I think the best way to approach a consulting call like this, like I'll tell him about our business, the numbers we do, the problems I think we have, but he's so much smarter than me, knows so much more, has been made so much more money. You don't know what you don't know, right? So like, I can't imagine what he's gonna say. I had no idea. I'm gonna walk out of here saying, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. What's going on, brother?
What's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Yeah, been like a year or two.
What's up? Yeah, like 2 years.
Good to see you. Where you guys fly in from?
I flew in from Scottsdale.
Yeah, New York.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So yeah, hit me with those numbers.
All right, so like, I'll give you the quick story. So launched BSL funnel, scaled to 100K, couldn't get it past it. Then launched a webinar in March, a live webinar twice a week. And our business magically jumped from 100K to 350K.
Okay.
Give that 350K, it would take us about 100K in ad spend roughly. The overall profit margins would be about 37%, I think about.
Okay.
Profit margins. And then just after 100K in ad spend, couldn't scale that live webinar. It was like fucking playing Russian roulette every week with that stupid webinar.
Okay.
So within the past 2 weeks, we built, I'm sure you know Onik. He's really good with evergreen webinars. So we joined his program, scrapped the whole live webinar so it wasn't scalable, turned it into evergreen. So I did it like 50 times that webinar, took the best performing one, turned it to an evergreen webinar like, maybe like 10 days ago.
That was super recent.
Yeah, so we went from like spending maybe like $4 grand a day in ads to like now we're spending like 1,000 or 1,500. So taking a big step back. So it's in the beginning stages, so it's not horrible, I guess. We're just running it once a day at 8 p.m. Now we're running it at 12, 3, and 8 p.m.
Okay. What we really realized though is like, and just from getting advice from other people as well, like what we've noticed is like, yeah, you can liquidate a lot on the front end. The back end sales are super easy when someone's already bought, a $9.97 product from you.
Is that what you sell on this?
Yeah, the webinar is $9.97.
Well,
Oh, so you're literally not even booking a call.
it's a 997 to an
You guys have
upsell.
never done a call? Or like, did you do a call for this?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There was just there's a lot of friction because sports cards is such a new thing.
The first thing we tried doing was like Cole Gordon when he's doing like the just-in-time stuff. That didn't work too well, but
with the webinar, yeah.
And what were you selling it at here again?
5,500, and now it's at 997 and 8,500.
On the back end?
Yeah, and about 25% of the people that buy that 997 upgrade. And the webinar converts cold traffic. The live webinar converts cold traffic, I should say, at pretty consistently about 6% of the people that attend the webinar. Yeah.
What's it looking like? It's going to be worse?
Probably 125 to 150 for the month, I guess.
All right. So before I say anything, like what questions do you guys have? Well, what's your goal? What do you guys want to get to?
Sell that 997, because when we do that, man, we're good and it's easy to upgrade those calls. It's like taking an order. It's not even a sales call anymore.
it's just like outside of those people that buy and then upgrade on an outbound, like just from outbound, right? Like all the other, like, because 80% of the leads don't show up, 90% of the leads like don't show up to the actual live webinar, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of money is made in what do you do with all those other leads that never even show up.
Why? Because you guys basically run ads, do live, run ads, do live.
We run the live on
so
Monday.
you wait until after?
Correct.
Yeah.
Why don't you just hit them up before and be like, show up?
Oh, no. Yeah, so we had VAs doing that. Believe it or not, it didn't affect the show rate that
Yeah,
much.
you would
Calling
think,
them and we've called them, we've texted them and had texting conversation with them. Didn't really affect the show rate that much.
Okay, so like, why did we go away from this? What were your stats on that?
it was just volatile, man. It was just all over the place. Like the show rate was all over the place, and the closes were just extremely hard. Like just like any VSL funnel, like these split pays, and then more the stats.
Yeah, do you know what you're spending?
Oh yeah, we were spending maybe like $600-700 a day. Then there were months we were doing 60K, months we were doing 90K.
So
Yeah.
I guess like I'm confused a little bit because like to me, this is better numbers. If you spend 18 grand a month and you're making 100K, how is that better than 100K?
Well, we're definitely doing less than 100K, but the webinar is a lot more scalable because we got the 350K with essentially one setter and one sales rep.
Yeah, but it's not though because it's a live, like, and that's obviously super different. So now you guys are going backwards. So
Yeah.
why did we stop this though? What were you doing on that? What were you not doing 100K here? What were you
No,
doing?
we weren't. It was less.
I think part of it, like you're right, our margins were better on the VSL. Because we weren't doing big numbers, we had a lot of like fixed expenses that were killing our profit margin. But other than the fixed expenses, our profit margins were better on the VSL. We realized sooner or later we're going to need to figure out how to liquidate ad spend. Everyone pretty much does that with either a low ticket or a webinar. Everybody that is making $1 million plus a month.
To me, selling one thing's easier than like this. This wasn't scalable. So you guys are like, hey, we don't want to do this anymore because we can't scale it. It also depends what your goal is. Like, do you guys want to get to $1 million a month or like what are we trying to do?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if you want to get to $1 million a month, I guess like I'm also confused on this. Why did you feel this wasn't scalable?
When we tried scaling it, the show rate would go to close rate would go to it would just like we'd spend more and do the same. So
like if this was average, like what happened when you scaled? You'd spend what and make?
The problem is that the outbound was really, really bad. Like the quality, the pickup rate was horrendous.
When you're calling them to buy or to show up?
So to call them to show up because it was speed to lead, it was great. Like, yeah, they were picking up. And it didn't affect the show rate, which is crazy to me, but they were picking up. Post webinar for all the non-attendees, right, which is 80% of the people, that pickup rate was horrendous, and it was just so bottom of mind. I mean, it's been days since they clicked on an ad, right? Hard enough to get someone.
Yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
And also
so that's when I really realized, oh, this is not scalable because any successful business I've seen do multi-million dollars a month has both to some degree.
Okay, so just stick with the numbers on me though. So what happened? You spend what and you make what?
we were spending like $3,000 a day, then we jack it up to like $5,000.
Okay, so you go basically like 150
and nothing changed.
and you just make 350. And then this one you spent 18, you make what, like 60?
The last time we ran the VSL calendar in December, spent 19 in December, did 83. Then in November we spent 21 and did 63. Coaches, because we have a lot of students at this point. Somehow.
And just that, like media buyers, coaching, like just
Yeah.
rent, just like all
Like
that
the
shit.
margins for the year of 2022, we did 1.2 million and our margins were 22%. When we launched the webinar, when the live was going, our margins were like 37-ish, 36%. With a lot simpler too.
So what do you guys have on your team? Like who's on your team?
So we have one sales rep, one inbound setter, one outbound setter, and then we have.
What's the difference with the inbound and outbound?
Inbound is like they're taking anybody that actually books a call through email or that has bought.
Do you do a 15-minute call?
It's like 20, but yeah.
So do they have to book a 15 before 60?
Yeah, everybody that hops on the 60 is booked one way or another through our setters.
And what are the costs? That's 10%. What else?
Sales rep was actually closing so much that when the webinar was going decent, we actually had to lower it to 5% because like it was like no work and he was making too much money. So.
Okay, so they're all off commission. What's like salaries or whatever else?
We have 4 coaches, so they each have about 40 to 50 students each. It's like a commission structure, but they each get paid about 4 to 5K a month. Okay. Then we have an executive assistant that basically does everything for us. She's gold. She gets paid about $4,500 a month, I think.
So I mean, your only expenses is what, $25 a month? I mean, I guess like this, like I would have liked to see you guys test that more because you never really spend big money. I mean, like if you spend 20, you make 83, that's not bad. December's the worst month. These are the worst months of the year. Again, this is just based off what I know so far. Like 15-minute calls are really hard to scale, I think, because you have to do so much volume. Like that's a crazy amount of volume. You're adding an extra step. So if you're doing 15 before 60 and I just do add to 60, that's a lot.
What's your show rate on that? No.
Simpler on the 60. I mean, if it's not a self-booking, it's like 90%. We run through Messenger, I'd say it's like 90% show rate if they talk to us in Messenger. If they get like
Combo through Messenger?
yeah, if we dial or they do a self-set, it's like 50. Why are you guys against just running them straight there? You just think like they're gonna not show up or what?
We did, and we were using what Cole taught us with this application grading system, and we just found 90% of the people were grading as a 2 and just giving them to the setter.
What changes on the grading system? You grade it bad, what happens? You grade it good, what happens?
Based on the application, 1, 2, 3, or 4, if it's a 1, they get canceled. 2, they get moved to a setter. 3 and 4, you leave on the calendar. You leave on the sales rep calendar. But most people are 2s. Like, most people don't give you that much. They make 40 to 100K. So you're like,
So when you guys ran this funnel, did you run to a 15-minute? And then this one, you guys basically pushed to a 997. And then this, you're pushing to a 997?
Yeah.
And you guys said you stopped doing this because you didn't feel it was scalable because when you spent more, you made the same?
Yeah.
Not only just that, but I also believed that I just look at who's better than me, and everybody who's better than us has an outbound team that's functioning and with people.
Yeah, but who has it? Like, do they have a similar offer or is it different?
And,
I like to look at B2C.
And everyone runs an evergreen. No one scales it live.
Something for you guys is like, I think you shouldn't, no one else sells cards though either, right? So you guys are comparing yourselves to everyone and no one does what you do either. So you're comparing yourself to everyone else. I think at the end of the day, whatever works is what works. So if you guys, I mean, you guys pivoted here, this sounds nice in theory, but you guys are already having struggles with it. This is what was working for you the best. I don't even think you guys tested this out. When you did this, you're pushing to 15s. These are 997s. I guess it's just hard to say because, like, to be frank, like, this isn't like, it's not horrible. It's like, you know, how many months did you spend 150?
No months. We would like push it up for like a week, and then it would just dead. Then we take it back down. Then we make some adjustments and push it back up. Same. That must have happened like.
Like, how much did you push it up?
It's like 5-6K a day, probably.
5-6K extra a day?
No,
total. So we go from like 3K a day to like 5-6.
Like, this to me is not working. That's the thing. Like, I feel like you guys are moving stuff when it's not, like, you haven't like clarified if it's not working. This to me is working. Like, and that to me is also actually simpler. This here to me is more complex because you guys obviously are doing lives. Now it worked. And then you guys said, hey, when I spent more, the quality went down. But I mean, quality will go down to some degree. So I think like what I would do is, I mean, this is just me. If I was you here or there, I would have like pushed. I usually go for 3 months before I make a decision.
Sure, we did that for 2 years.
This one?
VSL calendar, yeah.
But what did you go up to?
We
The problem is this is the real issue. I believe in why we didn't scale. It's not because it wasn't working. I think part of it was probably like we were just looking at our profits at the end of the day, and because of all those like fixed expenses, not even just.
But what were the fixed expenses? You just had a bunch of people on like salary or what?
That plus just like I said, like coaching and rent and like just like like that. With a webinar, it's less sales oriented. It's more like in our hands. So I'd rather no matter which difficult you choose, they're both difficult, right, in their own way.
Sure.
It's like, do I want the difficult that's in my hands, or do I want the difficult that's more in a bunch of sales reps, a bunch of setters, a bunch of closers?
Sure. That's just my personal opinion. I remember when you guys were doing that. I don't think you guys ever really definitively crossed that off. That's my opinion. I don't think you guys tested it. Like, I usually push something for 3 months before all stops. We were spending like $100,000 a month on, I think it was on trainer ads. And then for 3 months in a row, I tried to go to like 120, and every time we went to 120, it would just tank. And so I was like, all right, we've tried this for 3 months, like 3 months in a row, and it did it 3 months in a row. So I was like, all right, we're not going to go past that anymore. That's neither here nor there. That's in the past. But then you guys jumped to this, and then you guys did it. You said you tried it for a week. Like, I would have just done a small amount of increase, like, and then spread it out over a month, and then done it for 3 months. Because at the end of the day, if you guys were doing 350K and you spent 100 minus whatever this is, you guys are probably taking home, you were saying what, 37% or something? I mean, that's pretty good. I don't know how much advice I can give you because it doesn't seem like you guys stick with it long enough to actually like for sure rule it out. It kind of feels like you're just like, yeah, well, like here it was good, but like, you know, we didn't really like the profit. And then we went here and it's pretty good, but like, we don't want to do lives 2 times a week and everyone else is doing this. So now we're doing this. And like, you guys are already having issues with this. And it's like, I get what you're saying, where you're going, where your thought process is, but the only way to really do it at the end of the day is you have to trust the data. And so if it was me, you guys have already switched now. So it kind of is what it is now, but I feel like now you're on a whole fresh start.
Everyone in the webinar game tells, like the coaches, we've paid say, hey, it goes from live to evergreen. You perfect the live, then move it to an evergreen. Once again, a lot of
Well, yeah, but like if you perfected the live, then take your best live here, and then you can move it into.
That's exactly what we did.
And it's not working.
For the beginning, it's working because like according to once again, a lot of our webinar advice comes from him, and we've gotten like a 0.4 in the first like 12K in ad spend. So he said that's good.
So what do you mean 0.4? Like
so like we spent about 12K. And
you're negative. You're negative about 60%.
Testing different hooks and angles and times and just in time, not just in time. Like
you guys spending
$1,500 a day now.
Okay, so at this point, like I'm just gonna leave this alone because it's irrelevant because it's like you guys made a decision. But my first advice would just be like stick with stuff for 3 months before you fully move on. Like that's what I would have done here. So now that you guys are like, we don't want to do this anyways, whatever it is, what it is. Now you're here, you're doing 997, 6% are buying, 25% upgrade. Yeah, I mean, if you guys can liquidate, I mean, really the goal is like if you can liquidate 50% on the front end, then you're good. And then you have to get the rest on the upsell on the back end. What are you guys doing for the back end? They come through, you push them to the auto webinar. They're watching it the same day, right?
When you see the opt-in form, you have an option for the next 3 webinars coming up. So right now it's
Is it an hour? How long is it?
webinar is like an hour, 48 minutes.
Yeah, the price drops after an hour or about.
Like they can't even buy unless they're there for quite a bit, right?
40, yeah. Price drops
Okay.
at 48 minutes.
And then what do you guys do once they opt in? You're calling, or do you wait till after they watch the webinar and you start calling? What do you do?
Emails. So do you know what A event is? It's the only software that lets you take Zoom, an actual Zoom, and automate a webinar. So like these people go into the Zoom app and it looks like it's me there, but it's just my pre-recording, and like they have all these sorts of crazy automations to remind people, like voicemail drips, emails, text, nifty images, nifty images. Like so the show rate on the webinar on the 12, 3, and 8 has been hovering around low 30%, which is actually, I'm surprised it's been that high.
And then they watch the webinar and then they buy the 997.
Yes.
How many of the leads buy? So not how many show up. Like if I get 100 leads, how many of the leads buy? Do you know?
The auto webinar is converting at like 5 to 5%. I gotta look at the exact number. But
Okay, so it's a little less. So it'd be so let's say 4%. So you guys are getting 1% now. So yeah, I mean, the first thing you guys would need to do, I mean, it's probably obvious, but like this number is gonna have to get to like 3%. That's gonna help you a shit ton. And then obviously, yeah, you guys are gonna have to get. And then how do you guys get these people on an upgrade call?
after you buy the webinar, the next page is an upsell page. I probably should have mentioned that. So they could purchase another program for $397. 20% of people take that upsell. Then the next page is an onboarding call. They book their onboarding call.
How many take this?
20%. People do refund because it's a one-click upsell. So
25% of the people who buy book and they buy on the call, and you're doing 8,500.
oh no. So out of the people that buy, but about 35% of people end up on a sales call.
35% of what though? You guys got to tell me.
35% of the people that buy the 997 end up on a sales call, and we close about 65-ish% of them. It ranges per month.
And how they get on the calls? Like it's just scheduled in. It's like onboarding call,
So-
and that's a sales call.
No, on the onboarding call, my assistant, it's a Zoom group call. Hey guys, this is your program, blah, blah, blah. And then, all right, we're going to book our success call, everybody. And she sits there, waits till everybody books their success call. She won't get off until everyone does. That success call is just the
So when you were funnel hacking them, you're telling me that they go to a triage, they don't go straight.
It was the most beautiful funnel I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
That thing was gorgeous.
I mean, ultimately, now that you guys are here, I mean, this is your biggest issue. You got to get this to 3%. You get that to 3%, everything else is going to
100%.
flow. This isn't bad. Like if you're getting 50, if you get 5%, like, I mean, 20% would be fucking amazing. But I think like if you're 5 to 10% on this upsell, that's a pretty big upsell.
Like it's got to be like 50. It's
How
probably
many-
half that. Oh, we don't. Everyone shows
To which one?
everything. They're all 95% plus.
Probably because they're buyers then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing you guys got to do then is you basically just have to get this at 3%. Because if you get that at 3%, then everything else will take care of itself on the back end until there's a breaking point. But this front end number is too low.
That is the bottleneck.
And what we can't like fathom is like, why was it selling live, and why is that not converting?
Like, I never liked webinars because you literally have to do it forever, pretty much over and over and over. Now, Christian's like really good. Christian also has a really easy offer. Their offer is like how to make $800 a month selling audiobooks.
Yeah.
So it's low promise, part time, everyone can do it.
Well, that is our marketing thing too. Like make a side income, an extra grand or two a month.
Do you not want to quit your job?
But don't they also have to have like a little bit of interest in sport cards, right?
No. So our
You get
target
people that don't
market.
care
That's
at all.
actually the worst market for us is people that already know about sports cards because they come in thinking they know more than us because they've been in it for years, quote unquote.
Right.
So our best market is actually just like regular 9-to-5 guys who
Like that finance
like
dude.
sports.
Yeah.
and maybe dabbled in sports cards when they were a kid and haven't heard about it until they saw our ad.
Yeah,
a few
people in
weeks ago.
sports cards are no good for us, and we don't like to target them.
So my advice would be this: is first is like you guys need to understand too when you run ads, like ads go like this. Like they don't go like this. They go like this. So as you spend more, your ROI will go down. So I think part of it is like your guys' ROI is pretty good. You guys are getting 3.5x. Like, why don't you just spend till you get like 2x, or like you can even like just be super aggressive, because the only way you guys are gonna know, in my opinion, is like, yeah, this is not good enough. So there's no point in spending more until you fix that.
Yeah.
But if that's at 3%, you guys just need to spend until it breaks, and then you just reallocate. Like the thing that I feel like with you guys is you guys are like not, and don't spend like, don't do what you did. You guys are like this. You guys are like, you know, you're kind of like this, and you're like like this. Like just like go like this.
That looks like my personality right there.
Yeah,
That's
just
about
like,
it.
but you need to be more aggressive, because like the way I learned with ads is you just push until it breaks. And so what I would do is like when we went on to push, I'd push, and then like I would push, and then it would kind of start going like this. I'm like, all right, let's reset. And then I'd push, and I would go like this. And then like,
When you say reset, what were you doing?
it's a new month. It's like, all right, this month, let's try these things different. Let's do it again. But you usually have to give 90 days. That's why like in business, you can't just like change that fast as you get bigger. When you're small, you can, because you're like, oh, I'm spending 5K. Now it's like 10K. It's like, it's not a big deal. But like when you're spending 100 grand, you can't just like do it for a week and then be like, oh, it didn't work. Like, no, dude, it's like, you got to do it usually for at least 90 days. If you spend 100 grand and you make 3.5x, that's 350. Okay. If I spend $1 million and I make 1.5, that's 1.5 million. Okay. So I would still make more than you. Now, obviously I want to do a little higher than that, but my point is like your ROI goes down, but your overall cash goes up.
Yes, that was 100% premature. That was like, that I 100% agree with. Like, if you just look at ROAS, like, I just remember this number. We were like 5-6x ROAS on the VSL.
What I'm saying is like, if you guys are going to do this, like every time you make a change, you really need to wait, like a major change, or like you're going to like, hey, we're going to push ads. You guys really need to wait like 60 to 90 days before you make another decision. What I do is I make a budget for the month. So if I'm like, I'm going to spend 100K, then I spend 100K. Next month, I'm like, all right, let's spend 120. And you do 20 over the month, not in a week. And then next month, you're like, we do 150. Okay, next month, we do 180. And then if you get stuck, you're like, all right, we're going to go back to 150. And 150 works. You're like, all right, let's go back to 180. Doesn't work. You're like, all right, let's go back to 150. Then you're like, okay, it worked. And then I would literally do that. So it's not like just this quick thing. It's like, it could take you 4 to 5 months, because what would happen is when it would break, I was like, okay, maybe it's, because you think it's optimization. So you're like looking at the setters, you're looking at the funnels, all this shit. Then we go back to 150 and I'm like, okay, it works. I'm like, we're set, right? Yeah, we're all good, guys? Okay, let's go back. We'll break again. I'm like, what the f? Go back, we optimize. And then finally, after the third time, okay, like we can't pass this. There's nothing else we can optimize unless we change the process.
Yeah, I guess like maybe a more specific question would be,
Sure.
What's your decision process when knowing, like, I know you said like give it 3 months, but I think what stopped us from like, what either keeps us on something too long, or realistically what keeps us moving forward from things maybe prematurely, is like I'm not sure when things are just not scalable or when it's a skill problem.
I'll just give you a simple one. So we ran, my typical funnel is this, right? So Messenger, VSL, right? That's my average funnel, okay? So if let's say I'm spending 100 grand, okay, and we like crush, and we're like, oh, yeah, 4x. I'm like, cool, next month, let's do 120. I don't usually go up by more than like 20, 30 max in a month. Because over a month, that's only like what, a couple like $300 a day. It's not like a huge jump, right? So then I do that and I'm like, okay, cool, it's 4x. Then like we might go to 150 and it's like 3.2x. I'm like, all right, still cool. So then what would happen is we go here and it would be like 1.8. I was like, whoa, there's a massive drop off. So then I go to the team and I'm like, we start auditing stuff. I start looking at like, so for you guys, it'd be like, what's the conversion rate? What's the uptick rate? Where's the calls? You start auditing the messaging. You start auditing, you got to audit all the processes. It's optimization. So then I'm like, okay, I checked everything. We're good. All right. So, and we check it and then we go back to this number and it's like, cool, 3.8. Like, okay, looks like we fixed it. Then we go back the next month and then it's like 1.6 again. I'm like, yo, what the f-? So I do that process like 3 times. So it could take you
4 to 6 months before you know for sure. You're like, all right, we can't scale past that because like at least this way, because we've tried it 3 times. And the way you know is every time you go back, you hit higher margin. What I was looking at specifically for my business is what? Like how's the messaging team doing? I'm like, are they messaging the same? And then what we just found is like, hey, when we pushed it past that, the quality would just go to hell. Right. And we did it slow. Like that's not a massive jump. But what you guys did is you were like, I mean, you did it in a week. You can't do that. You got to do over a month. What I would do now is that you guys have committed to this, so you're all in, is get this to 3% and then spend as aggressively as you can every time that's at 3%. And then like I'd probably do it until it drops below 2%. And then when it drops below 2%, you cut off the ads, you try to fix that, and then you keep pushing because this is your whole bottleneck. If this is at 3%, all this will get taken care of.
Yeah.
But if that's less than 3%, you're
So the way to hyper focus on that number, because we know the web, we've been having the same pitch for a long time. We know it sells. So
On the live.
on the live, and now the
I
live
do
is
not know
an
if it sells on
evergreen.
the auto, as you can see from the.
But how long have you done it? Like a week, you said?
Yeah.
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 It's not enough data. You gotta
No,
run it
yeah,
up.
we don't know shit yet.
Like this could be 1% right now, and then at the end of the month,
But
it's
I
at
figured the
3%.
best way to pull a lever is actually do things to fix the show rate. Like, how much can you improve the conversion rate on a webinar?
Yeah, you could email, you could text, you could voicemail. You guys could try dialing again. I know you said it didn't work, but it's like you could test it.
I was reading this book on you've probably read it, Product Launch Formula. Guy's f***ing unbelievable. Even though like he wasn't pulling that much money, but it's like the way he gets businesses off the ground. And what I found from his product launches is like the whole sequence leading up to it. This dude just gives like immense value. So I was thinking of just like putting that in the email, just like literally like full blown like PDFs and trainings, like going to lengths no one goes to remind these people for the webinar.
Yeah. Because that could help too, right? So it's like you run the ad, they sign up for the webinar. If you increase the show rate, then you should get a higher buy rate because more people show up, right? The only other thing is if you get the same show rate, then what has to happen? This has to go up. So there's only 2 levers here.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's the game you guys are playing. That's the best thing you do. You fix the show rate or you fix that, and then you guys also just have to get more used to like not making as much. Like I've spent so much on ads that like I'm like, yo, what did you spend? They're like $500,000. I'm like, what did we make? And they're like, we made 2 point whatever. I'm like,
What are your profit margins when you see something like that?
I mean, it just varies because of the back end.
I would love to do that. It's just tough with the B2C, especially because again, we're similar to the Mickelson twins, where it's like you can make a couple $1,000 a month.
Like here's the thing, it's simple, but it's difficult. You understand? Like it's not complex. Like we know what to fix, but it's difficult.
It's just like a game. You like what I've discovered about the webinar is like, all right, you make this fix, you got to sit there and wait for 3, 4, 5 days.
Yeah, and so this is just like neither here nor there, but like for you guys, something else you can think about is like the game you guys are gonna play. Like until the end of time, as long as you guys do this, is it's going to be optimization. My personal belief, like Christian, for example, my personal belief is really good at webinars, like really good. And then the other thing is their offer is just so broad. Like and you guys kind of is too, but I mean, theirs is just like
broader.
Yeah, it's literally like I don't know the intricacies of yours, but it's just like, yeah, you want to like make an audio book and make 8, their promise is so low. So what that means too is if you think about it, is like their customer satisfaction is through the roof because all you have to do to get them happy is $800. I don't know what your guys' promise is, but the higher your promise, the harder customer satisfaction. So if I tell people like, hey, you're gonna make 100K more, that's harder than like that.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like for example, like how do I know this? Because I've had different offers now. Like I've tried different businesses. I've had like in a business for a while and stuff like that. And so like we would do the same and we would get different results. So like Gentry, like, okay, we had sales reps, right? Like we're doing like how to be a sales rep, whatever. Dude, we get like a 15% pickup. We do biz owners, like guys like you, and it'd be like literally like 4%. Same exact. We're like, it was the same funnel, same email, same VSL. And I'm like, it's literally just the offer. So part of it too is just understand, you can do the exact same thing that someone tells you to do. You're getting a completely different number. Part of it is just also the industry you guys are in. So what I mean by that is Christian's an anomaly. Let's take Christian out. If you look at everyone else, he's doing 3 to 4 mil. Okay, I don't know if he is or not, but let's say he's doing 3 to 4 mil. Pretty big number. Evans at his peak was doing around 2 mil. Us around our peak, we were doing around 2 mil, right? Close to 2 mil. So why does no one ever get bigger? So just something for you guys to think about is if you guys remember, you know, his book, he has like the little quadrant thing. So he's like determined outcome. This one's really risk. He calls it different stuff. This one's time. And then this is effort. Okay. So this is just for you guys to think about as like, you guys are higher level. So it's like for you to think about. You guys already know what to fix in the business. Like we already went over that. So it's either show rate. There's nothing else to fix. It's show rate and buy rate. That's it. You guys can like around as much as you want. But end of the day, if those numbers don't improve, your funnel isn't going to do any better. Simple, right? The big thing that I've noticed, like, so all the interviews is it's usually these two that scale to like 1 billion, right? So I'll give you a couple examples. There was Weed Maps. And this is just for you guys to think about. This is nothing like for your business, but I think this is just like higher level teaching. So Weed Maps is basically Yelp for weeds. So think about it. You get on there, you just look up the store you want, and it takes no effort. And then really the way he made money, and the other things, everyone gets the same result, right? So you get on there. Weed Maps is basically Yelp for weeds. So you get on, you see his store, you see the reviews. The store owners are the ones who actually pay all the money because they want to rank high. So they pay to rank high on there. And then people go to their stores and buy it, so it's a win-win, right? But every store owner and every person gets the exact same result, right? Byte was a company that competed with Invisalign. Their braces. What he did is he just beat them at marketing. So Invisalign had like a $2,000 CAC. He went in and basically had a better marketing strategy, sales team, and they got it to 400, and they sold for $1 billion in like 2 years. The reason in the consulting industry why no matter what, you're not, unless like it's maybe there's someone who has a massive name where they can just push like crazy volume because organically,
Right.
is at some point it starts to stall because you got Sally here, you got George, right? And then you got Tom. So let's say Tom's a 10. George is a 5, she's a 1. Sally's like, your program sucks. George is like, it's amazing, it's amazing. So because of that, it makes it hard to scale because you never get word of mouth, you never get organic because they just whine and complain. Like even elite CEOs, like we can't get everyone the same result no matter how much we do because why? It takes partly their effort. But something for you guys to think about long term, and what I'm thinking about is I'm like thinking, okay, so like what businesses can I get everyone the same result? And also notice this, low fulfillment. This is no fulfillment.
Yep.
0. This here, yeah, they slap it on once, they're done. So the thing with consulting is like, what's our downside? Tons of fulfillment. Even if like you have an easy program, coaches and all this, that's why you have that. That's fulfillment. What can I make that has 0 to low fulfillment? So you don't have to do. So like, think of like almost a product. Like if you bought that glass,
Yep.
you're done.
Same result.
So 0 to low fulfillment, and then everyone gets the same result. And what happens with everyone is over time, as you've been in the industry longer, like people know who you are, and then you're not so fresh anymore. It's like, oh yeah, I've heard about that guy. Like, he's been in the industry for forever. Like, you know him, right? So over time, people are just like, he's not that fresh, and then they start looking for the new shiny object. So I don't know what's going to happen with this offer or not. He's crushing it. But what I would gather is probably over time, it gets harder to keep winning because your customers have already come to you. And what's the nature of internet marketing? Oh, try this, try this, try this. You guys even were telling me, oh, we tried this guy and this guy. That's just the nature of the industry. Yeah. So over time, it also gets harder to stay on top because you're not the new guy anymore. You're like the old lady. And anyway, so why am I bringing this up? Long story short, the only reason I'm bringing that up is just you guys need to focus on this for what you're doing, but also understand part of it is just the nature of this industry is going to be harder at some point. And you guys will see that over time. That's why some guys who they stay in this industry for like 20 something years, that's just not my path because I just see like he doesn't sell consulting, he sells software.
Yeah.
Why? Because this. And then this. And I'm not saying you have to go software, but really the ones you can do typically, it's going to be SaaS. It's going to be product. You know another one who I talked to? You know what StockX is? Yeah. Dude, they're valued at $3.8 billion. You know what they make per month? -2 million a month. So you'll see people, it's like the best of the best of the best are like up there. But really, you don't see many consulting or like internet marketing companies get above 2-3 mil unless they have a massive like organic following or anomaly like or something like that. You just don't see it. Or it's like let's even take this is one of my favorite examples. So this is why Jim Lunch worked. It wasn't because it was like the world's best marketer, even though he's a really good marketer. Think about it. So they're already business owners. Okay. They have a 90% close rate. right? You guys know in person, like you close like pretty much everyone, right? Because like
What do you mean 90%?
But what do you mean they were closing in person though? They were like literally.
I'm talking like for the customers. So the
Oh yeah.
so their business. So think about it. Everyone's a business owner. So think of everyone who signed up for your was a business owner, like the way they thought. Probably it'd just be easier mindset wise. They have a 90% close rate, but they're selling $47. He's like, we're gonna raise the price, right? And then he's like, we're gonna run ads. So what happens is they come in the gym, they close 90% of the people at 10x the price. They make 30K all in 30 days. What do you think they'll do? Holy shit. And they all tell all their friends, and that's how they grew. That's
great model.
But what do? Zero time, zero effort, basically.
Yeah, when her says like you need word of mouth, it's like yeah, when you could do that, it's easy.
Yeah, but remember his first book. I mean, that's also it's the offer. So what I want you guys to understand, all I'm trying to get at is like you guys are 100% correct on this. I think you guys were a little impatient. That's the one criticism I have is like be more patient. I know it's hard because you're sitting there and you know what needs to happen, but you can't speed it up. So like even something like I talked about, and he's trying to get like 1 or 2 companies every couple months. Dude, I think he says they get 30 applications a day or more. Like I think it's, and he says he's getting like 100 million impressions on Instagram a month right now. So, but he can't speed it up because why? Just because they get more applications doesn't mean they should take more businesses. He's like, we're looking for very specific businesses. So he has to be patient. So I think the game you guys kind of have to play a little bit is be more patient because sometimes you're trying to go faster. It doesn't always work that way. You got to kind of be patient. And then 2 is in the long run, if you guys got to think what can we do that is like zero effort and like everyone gets the same result. So, and the other thing you guys can do is you can interview private equity guys. That's actually something I haven't gotten to. Talked to him and he was like, interview a bunch of private equity guys because they buy tons of businesses. And he's like, ask them what are the best businesses typically. And then once you identify those, find the CEOs who sold and they won't give a because they already sold so they don't care and they can't, because once you sell, they have non-competes. So he'll just tell you what to do and then he's like, do that, which was actually some of the best advice I got. But what I'm looking for is I'm trying to find stuff I can sell for $1,500 plus, right? And that could be, so that could either be like for 1 month or that could be like, let's say you're selling something for $300 6 months up front, okay, something like that. Zero fulfillment or low fulfillment. So when I say zero, it's either zero or low. So it's like very easy. And then, hopefully recurring too. Like that's kind of what I'm trying to do is it's like, what can I sell that's like $1,500 plus, it's low or zero fulfillment and it's recurring and then it gets the same result. The biggest thing is this is like everyone has to get the same result. Like everyone has to do it. Also something to learn about coding is like, let's say you have like 10 things like this. If you change that, you're like, oh yeah, you just replace that. It's like, no, if you change that, you have to change all of this. Yeah. So that's why tech is because you have to change the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we made this realization actually. We had the same exact conversation. We were in Cabo at Cole's event and we were sitting next to the guy. He's part of a portfolio company. John, what did you do? Yeah. Is that what that shit's called? Yeah, and like I'm just like looking at this guy. It's like everyone gets the same result. The marketing's totally backwards. No one's running any type of Facebook ads. And like he said, he was just crushing.
Well, yeah, think about it. Cause like
the guy didn't even know what he was like doing.
Yeah, no idea what the fuck
no
he was
idea
doing.
what was happening.
And it's all rich.
Yeah.
And it's all rich people, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, so that's the same thing. Testosterone replacement therapy. There's
all the same result.
Hair transplant.
And there's no competition with ads. You stick some outbound setters in there, everyone's answering. People are closing like crazy.
Well, yeah, to your point, it works because it's very unique, right? So when I look for portfolios, I'm looking for the same thing. Like, is it super unique? Because if it's not, it just isn't worth the time and effort because I know it's going to be like this type of that's all right, it's money optimized something, which isn't bad. I just want you guys to know, like, I'm not trying to. You guys should do this. I guess like because you guys are higher level, but I also want to kind of give you this presentation because this, I think, moving forward will help you because a lot of times you're like, oh, this and this, and like you get so pissed at the funnels and it's like, bro, like.
Got it. So, I guess like I mean, this is a conversation probably more for like years down the road for us, but curious, like, when do you think it's a good time to start looking at that so that you're not banging your head on a wall?
The right time to sell the business or step out is like right when speaking, not when.
How do you know when it's peaking?
You don't. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
You don't. But I mean, like, you guys can make a guess. Like, for you guys, like, your guys' goal is to push towards a million, then I push like as hard as you can, sell that, and then, you know, you make that call.
Now, random question, kind of sort of off topic, like, because on your Facebook, you said you were taking sales calls for like companies. So like, but I thought you removed yourself.
I did, but I got back for 6 months and I had to step in and fix some stuff that's not going good. They're just, you guys just asked me about the CEO stuff, so you guys can gander what that probably is. I'll show you how it's done. I close 70% of the calls and I'm taking sales call in 3 years.
Our sales rep does way too many follow-ups. You guys got to push to the max on the call. I agree with your.
Yeah, well, and I get a yes or no on every call. Like, I even had a guy the other day. He's like, yeah, I still, like, he was on the fence. And like, some calls, like, you can do a great presentation, but they're just not sure. I was like, all right, dude, look. So I don't want to, I'll be honest, I don't want to follow up with you. You seem like you're pretty into it, but you want to check your stuff, right? So let's go ahead, let's do a down deposit. You go check that stuff, I'll send you a loan of the stuff you want, and then you just text me back if you don't want to do it, I'll send you the money. And he ended up backing out, and I knew it was a high chance. I knew it was like a higher chance he would back up and come in. But I didn't do all this follow up and all. Like, I get a yes or no every time. And if I don't, I'm like, do a down deposit. If they won't do it, then I'm usually like, because it's a waste of energy. It's like, all you have to do is spend another 5 or 10 minutes on the call, push. You'll be more tired, but then I don't have to go. Like, I don't have follow-ups. And the follow-ups I have are what? Deposits. And guess what? If they don't respond, what do I know? Right? They're full. They gave me money because they felt bad and they didn't want to say no.
That's our theory with the webinar. The webinar allowed us to have a B sales rep making, a lot of money a month.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, my guys can make 15 and that's it. I'm like, why? And he's like, because it's too easy to sell. He literally packs it. He's like, you can make this much, and he just gives them a salary. He's like, that's all you can make. You have to hit this number. Yeah. Really, this part is easy. I would just say that the mistake you guys are making, you're moving too quick. I like you guys' aggressiveness. I like the fact that you guys are like keep hiring people. You're like learning, but that's really all you can do at this point, unless you want to go backwards, which I just don't. I think at this point, it's like you're already committed, so just stick with it. Fix that, and then just long term think more of that way.
Yeah, we literally had this conversation a few months ago. It's kind of just like this eye opening thing, like, oh wait, we're not in it.
All of them have an internet marketing background. 1.6 million internet marketer, 2 9-figure companies, internet marketer. All of them are internet marketers because once they understand how to market and they get the products and you mix that, bro. Yeah. He's selling you guys gotta understand. So like think about it. Like looking for businesses, this is what they're looking for. They're looking for businesses that are like 25 to like 50 mil. So they're looking for the businesses that are doing like 2 to 4 mil. And that's like their sweet spot because you're big enough that they can make some money, but you're small enough that you can't find it. But also keep in mind, like you guys are still making more money than like top 1% of the world, right? And like most people dream about. So keep that in perspective. But yeah, it just comes down to like when you're ready to move on to new pastures. If you guys are ready to move on to new pastures, move on. For me, when I had all the realization at once, and it's the bigger you get, the harder it is. Remember that, because you always have more to lose. So for me, part of like what kept me, I was like, I'm doing like 1.5 a month. Let me try it. I kept like trying to push, and then finally I had these interviews, and then it was getting harder to push, and then it just kind of like all came to an apex. But yeah, it doesn't make sense. And that's when I started to step out, because I'm like, you only have so much energy, and it's like I'm putting the energy into something that to me like wasn't gonna be my long-term thing. So what I'm doing.
A lot of what we talked about in the beginning was knowing when to be patient and knowing when to push. And it's funny because I think we really work out well as business partners because we talked a little bit about earlier with you about like a planner versus like high executor, how both of those could be dangerous or helpful in their own certain ways. He, I think, is more of a like 0 to 100, like let's go, do right now. Like, and I'm probably more of like a little bit more like cautious about the moves we make, a little bit more like meticulous and planned out. And I think that our business reflects both of our personalities, and the 2 sectors of the business, marketing and sales, probably reflect our personalities for better or for worse. And so it's just, I think we could do a much better job of finding that balance of knowing when to be patient and knowing when to really push. And that's probably the biggest thing that I got out of the first half of this. I am starting to think about the future and what the future of this looks like, and not even in like switching total products in general, but like even just in the present, how can we make this more sticky where it's like everybody can get very, very, very similar results, have very, very similar expectations to, expand upon the lifetime value of each customer. And
We're running an auto webinar now, so just gonna stick with that, be super stubborn and persistent with it because I believe, it's a scalable model. Just not deviate from it and just kind of after the call, just having a conversation with Tanner, just push extremely hard with organic and just be super stubborn and super persistent and get 1-inch win instead of going for like a 100-yard win. That's really just the biggest thing. Just be persistent and take it day by day because I think what we did jumping from 100K to 350 is just we probably just got lucky. It's better to be lucky than good, but it's just unrealistic.
truly do believe, like, especially after this conversation, it's better to go just try and get 1% better every day, every month, whatever it is, right? It's much more valuable to get 1% better, and it will take you a lot farther than every day trying to get 200% better. I just think that mindset shift is huge right there. So that's the thing that I would implement today.
Organic is the one thing we didn't really talk about it. I don't think with Tanner that much, like our organic, what we're doing now, but that is the one thing we've been extremely consistent with. We've been posting one YouTube video, not the best one, probably takes me an hour or two to produce, but every week, no non-negotiable. We've gained like 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers from it. So we have like 8,000 or 9,000, which isn't bad. And now we're taking organic to the next level. And once again, just going to be super stubborn and persistent with it.
Just treat it like a business. Just treat it like, like the same persistence and hard work that we put into our business to get it to where it's at. We just have to put into organic if we want to see it really move. And if I were to do this all over again, I would 100% want to be working with a company that knows more than me. It's just a mentor that usually you have to pay a lot of money to be around these people, but only in that scenario do you get actually paid to be around them.
Like be a sales Tanner for Tanner's company. That'd be a perfect example. My message to anyone that does this is most people, I'm assuming, are gonna be in the beginner stages, and whatever Tanner's gonna tell you to do is naturally going to be uncomfortable because success is just uncomfortable. If success was easy, everybody would do it, but that's what you have to do to be successful, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. So, and I know I'm saying this to the camera and most people aren't gonna do it. That's okay, that's why it's hard to be successful, but whatever he's gonna tell you to do is gonna make you uncomfortable, and that's a good thing. You become rich if you can live in the uncomfortable.